2 minutes till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome in. Trying to get everything going here. We are getting in touch with Dick Morris, the political commentator, author. He'll be joining the program for the first part of it, for the first 10 minutes or so. And we talked to him. We'll call him back here momentarily right as we're going on the air. What's up, guys? Trying to get all the live streams up and going here, so hang tight as we are getting everything going. We got a big show lined up for you today. Obviously, today's election day for the state of Georgia. We have Dick Morris coming on right at the top. We have Murray Sabrin. He is a financial expert with his latest book, From Immigrant to Public Intellectual, An American Story. We'll talk about libertarianism. We'll talk about some other good stuff. So lots to get to here. Hang tight. I have something to complain about as well. Am I allowed to do that?
Till broadcast.
Am I allowed to do that? Can we complain a little bit on the show? Why not? If you're on the streams, what's going on, guys? Yeah, welcome. I have some people jumping on all over the place. If you're on OpsLens, then welcome. If you're on the personal feeds, welcome. Too many things going on here. A little chaotic. All right.
"30 seconds till broadcast."
All right, guys, if you like it out, share it out, tweet it out, whatever you do. Let's have some fun on the program today. Hang tight.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
You as the individual, you have the power. You don't have to join a union. You go in as an entry-level position. You get the experience that you need. And then as you work up, you get better at your job, which means they pay you more. If they don't pay you more, then you go to another company to show what you've learned and what your value is to where you can get more. If they really don't like that, then you can go and start your own damn business, because we have a free market, laissez-faire, capitalist society, allegedly, to where you can actually go off and do your own thing.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right it is. Holy cow, what a day we've had as we go through another election day. You thought the madness was over, didn't you? You thought that on the beginning of November, everything would be done. It'd be all over. We'd be nice and calm now, enjoying the holidays. Oh, no. Oh, hold on to your hats. We got so much to get to today. Welcome into the program. Always great to have you along for the ride today. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. However you may watch or listen to the program, we love you to death. Welcome aboard to your Millennial General reporting for duty. Big show lined up for you today. Obviously, it's election day for the state of Georgia with the special Georgia runoff. We'll get to some of those numbers here in just a moment. The record-breaking early voting in that state. What the heck's going on? But I don't want to waste any time to kick off the program right off the bat today. Talk about coming out strong.
What's trending today?
As we're really excited to have this guy on the program now that we have most of the elections wrapped up, what we could see coming into the next year or so in the leadership from Republicans, and a heck of a lot more. You've heard him on the program many times with us before, as well as he is a political commentator, political author, a political campaign consultant, and a heck of a lot more. You can see him on Newsmax and other places as well. Mr. Dick Morris on the line with us here. Dick, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm good.
Yeah, always good to chat with you. I tell you, I am enthusiastic about going into 2023, although I am a little skeptical as well, because we already see the shenanigans coming from the other side with us not taking the Senate. What's your take on starting off January 2023?
Well, the calendar says it's January 2023, but the Congress, the Senate in particular, under the impact of Schumer and Pelosi, really have turned the calendar back to 2022, and they're basically refusing to honor the new year. The fiscal year in Washington ends on October 1st, so the budget they passed last year for 22-23 is over now. It's obsolete.
Yeah.
And they've now got to pass a new budget for the coming year. And what they're planning to do is to just take the old budget and renew it for a year. They call that a continuing resolution.
Yeah.
And all of the Republican priorities of cutting spending, of cutting the extra IRS agents they want to hire, of reforming the immigration system, all of that stuff is not going to see the light of day because a bunch of lame duck Republicans who have are retiring or were defeated, but are still there until January 1st, are getting together with the Democrats to pass all kinds of terrible legislation. And the theory is that once they pass it and the control of the Senate remains in Republican hands, the House will not be able to override it because you'll never be able to break the filibuster in the Senate. So what's going on now is you have 12 Republican senators who are rhinos, Mitt Romney among them, Susan Collins of Maine, and a bunch that are retiring, Portman of Oregon, Blunt of Missouri, Burr of North Carolina.
Right.
And they've always sworn they're conservative Republicans. But now that they don't have to face the voters again, they are conspiring with Pelosi to pass all kinds of mayhem in the new budget, knowing that it can't be reversed because the Democrats will stop it from being reversed by their control of the Senate. So I'll give you an example. They want to grant amnesty and citizenship and the right to vote to 2 million illegal immigrants who came here as dreamers. Now, they're not going to be thrown out of the country. There's no risk that they'd be deported. But to make them citizens and give them a vote, that's kind of extreme. But the 12 Republicans are saying, we'll go along with the Democrats and let that happen. And we'll do it before the first of the year. Because at the first of the year, Cinderella turns into a pumpkin, and the Democratic majority in the House goes away and it's replaced with a Republican majority. So before that happens, we're going to pass this bill. And in the course of it, they're going to pass a bunch of other stuff that's horrible. They're going to increase, they can spend trillions, hundreds of billions of dollars more. They're going to kill any attempt to delete the extra IRS agents. They're going to add to the climate change funding. They're going to add to Ukraine funding. And they're going to do it knowing that the newly elected Congress will have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
Because they can't make the changes until the new fiscal year starts on October 1st, 2023, and that's AD. So we're going to have to sit around for 10 months with the programs and budgets and laws that were passed after we beat the Democrats, after we took control of the House, and it's going to be taking effect, and we will have nothing to say about it. The election won't have mattered because these rhinos are now collaborating with the Democrats to pass this stuff.
Yeah, it's not the best way to start off a Republican majority in the House. And like you said, we don't take effect until January. But this is not what Republicans voted on to allow this type of stuff. We talk about the budget quite a bit on this program and the continuing resolution. And it's a battle that's always in it. We haven't passed an actual federal budget since around the time of the Obama administration with the 12 appropriations bills and actually focused on a budget. I mean, I know that we have to get through this stuff, but I mean, you would think Republicans would say, hey, wait a second, this isn't why Republicans are fired up to turn out to the polls. Maybe we should stop some of this and even allow it to shut down the government for a short amount of time until we actually get our ducks in a row here.
You just put your finger on it. Pelosi and Schumer know that the rhino Republicans will never go along with shutting down the government. They've been burned so many times by doing that. It's what Mark Twain said, a cat won't sit down on a hot stove after he does it once, but he won't sit down on a cold stove either. And so the Republicans are scared to death about shutting down the government. So Schumer and Pelosi are coming in there and saying, we want this extra spending, we want to vote for illegal immigrants, we want all of these changes that are against what the Republicans want, and we're going to put them in the budget, or we're going to put them in the National Defense Appropriations Act for the Pentagon, which is a must-pass piece of legislation. Otherwise, the troops don't get paid. And we're going to use that. We're going to hold that hostage to force you to go along to vote for these bills, or we'll threaten to close the government. And the Republicans are knuckling under, and they're doing exactly what the Democrats want. There's some window dressing. They'll pass legislation saying you can't throw someone out of the military for not getting a COVID shot. Some few minor victories Republicans are allowing themselves. But we're just being betrayed en masse by 12 rhino senators.
It's very frustrating. We're talking with Dick Morris. Last question before we got to let you go. I know that you're a busy guy, and I appreciate your time very much. But as we do see the transition in the House of Representatives with what looks like is going to be Kevin McCarthy as the Speaker of the House, is he going to be the conservative to stand up to them, or will he cave when he gets under pressure as well?
Well, it's hard to tell. At the moment, I'd vote for caving. But you can always hope. But I want to say one other thing. I think tonight we may lose the runoff election in Georgia. There are 6 polls that say we are and none that say we're not. And I believe that the blame for this, the fault of this, is entirely due to the Republican failure to vote early in elections. In 2020, the Democrats changed the whole method of voting in the country. And they said vote by mail, vote absentee, and vote early. And the Republicans have refused to change. So we go into tonight in Georgia for the actual election day count, runoff count, 250,000 votes behind. 250,000 more Democrats have voted early than Republicans. The reason we lost in Pennsylvania is that Oz had 100,000 early votes and Fetterman had 700,000.
Yeah.
And by the time people saw that pathetic debate performance where he couldn't utter a coherent sentence, they weren't able to vote against him because their votes had already been pocketed for him before the debate. And that's the Democratic tactic. And for some God-unknown reason, hewing to tradition and hidebound past behavior, the Republicans are failing to vote early. And that's why we lost. That's a big reason we lost the presidency in 2020. It's the major reason we lost Senate races in 22. Now it's the reason we're about to lose this runoff election. And it is a total disgrace. The Republicans could simply get with modern times and go out and vote early. Or vote by mail. The drop boxes are unreliable, but mail boxes are fine. And those votes count. And what the Democrats do is they get out their couch potatoes and say, you don't have to vote, you don't have to go out, you don't have to wait in line. Just vote right here in this mailbox. And they're doing it, and Republicans are not, and that's why we're losing elections.
It makes sense. Every night for election night, when we sit down and see the results, I mean, the Democrats come in heavy, and the Republicans always try to play as the comeback kid every single year on whether we can actually squeak enough out on election night to pull ahead at the very end. And it's nerve-wracking,
Exactly.
and that's why we're not seeing the big red wave.
It's worse. What the Democrats do is because they've already pocketed their votes. They screw around on election day. The printers run out of ink. The tabulators jam. And the lines outside the polling places get longer and longer. The Democrats don't care. Their votes are in their pockets. The lines are all Republicans waiting to vote on election day. So they deliberately screw with the process to make the lines longer and longer. The Democrats yell about voter suppression. Well, the real suppression is lengthening the lines so people have to wait in line for hours to be able to vote. And this is entirely a self-inflicted wound by Republicans because they could have all voted early and they could have all voted by mail, and they just chose not to do so because they're too damn stubborn and old-fashioned to do it.
It sounds definitely like a Republican, definitely stubborn in many ways. Dick Morris, dickmorris.com is the website. Go and check it out. It is unfortunate. Hopefully we can squeak through a victory tonight, but right now it's really looking forward.
Let me just say the book where I explain all this about early voting and the new techniques the Democrats are using to win these elections is The Return, Trump's big 2024 comeback. And I wish we sold 100,000 copies, and I wish all of these Republican candidates and managers had read the book because we fell into the exact same trap now that I warned about.
Yeah. I love it. The Return, Trump's big 2024 comeback. Go check it out. You can see it on his website, dickmorris.com. Dick, we're out of time, my friend. Thank you so much for the time. Keep up the fight,
Thank
brother.
you.
We get you back on again soon.
Okay.
Hey,
bye-bye.
All right, appreciate that very much. There it is. We got just about a minute before we take our break here. Appreciate that, but not the most optimistic outlook, is it? as we continue to battle the Democrats and their progressives. As he mentioned, we don't have the Republican majority in the House of Representatives yet, which means that continuing resolution that's coming up, about in the next month or so, we're going to have to do that with the Rhino Republicans and with the Democrats that are still in control of the House of Representatives, which means they're going to pass it, which means while we're trying to fight to reform our finances here in the economy in the country, we still have a long battle to go, and we're not going to be able to even touch it until October of next year when some of these rhinos are gone and when the Democrats lose control of the House of Representatives. It is a frustrating situation to say nonetheless. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll shift gears a little bit to the election going on in Georgia right now. The Senate runoff. What is your prediction on this one? Do we pull it off with Herschel Walker? Do we fail this one and lose another seat in the Senate? We'll do all that when we come back and a heck of a lot more. Plus, Murray Sabrin, an immigrant, an intellectual. He'll join at the bottom of the hour to talk about how immigrants are coming here to live for freedom. All that and more for a Tuesday on The Voice of Reason.
With Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
Bring some reason into your day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
So, Dick Morris is absolutely right. According to him, we have a large battle on our hands. We voted in this nation. We turned the House of Representatives into a Republican majority because we are sick and tired of primarily financial issues and economic issues in the country. Obviously, we have social issues. We have other political issues, foreign policy issues that we're all concerned about. But the number one issue, all the polls said overwhelmingly, 60 to 70% of Americans across the nation showed the economy was issue numero uno on why they turned out to the polls and voted in November and really brought the Republican House of Representatives. And remember, the House of Representatives constitutionally is the power of the purse. They're the ones that decide where the money goes and how much money is actually going to be going out across the nation, which means, again, we should be the ones holding it. I've said many times on this program, and here's very clear. Hey, Washington, D.C., I don't care if you shut doors and shut the government down for a month. I don't care. We shut the government down for every federal holiday. We shut the federal government down every weekend. We shut the federal government down every day before 8 a.m. and after 5 p.m. I don't care if we shut you down for an entire month. We do not need you really in the first place anyways because the federal government's a bunch of waste of money. No, but anyways, we don't need you. Let's shut the government down. Let's work on a damn budget, and let's actually pass a real federal budget with 12 appropriations bills, and we look at every sector, every agency, and every department. Do you need this money? What's the money actually going towards? Is it being spent efficiently? Is the program working? Do we need more money here? Can we cut it completely and get rid of it and shut it down? What's going on? The argument for trying to eliminate 87,000 IRS workers that they're trying to expand under the Biden administration. I mean, eventually, you're all just going to have your own personal IRS agent. You're going to get a call from them every paycheck that comes into your bank account and be like, we need to make sure and do an audit to make sure there was the proper amount of money. Man, we need to make sure that you're actually spending your money appropriately here. I mean, they're the ones that wanted to regulate and actually track and monitor every transaction that went in or out of your personal or business account of $600 or more because, well, the government wants to make sure that you're paying taxes on that because how dare we think, and this is true, this is what they truly honestly believe, and they openly said it over the last year, they truly honestly think that the consumers, the private sector of the country, is skipping out on 50% of private sector revenue that's not being filed in the federal government for taxation. 50%. They think that you, as the consumer in the private sector, that you are hiding 50% of your wealth from taxation and being filed in your taxes. And being the greedy leeches that they are in the federal government, they want their portion. No matter what you do. Now, we're already being taxed on stuff by like 3 or 4 times, from the raw materials to the transportation to it, to the manufacturing of it, to the actual sale and point of sale of it, to like houses and your property. You don't actually own your property. You just continue to pay property taxes on it every single year. So you never actually own anything. They can come and confiscate it if you don't pay your taxes. But by golly, we need to make sure you're paying more taxes on it on top of that. This is the system that people are frustrated about and are angry about. And while we see 9% inflation and the Biden administration sitting out there, we've leveled out inflation. It's all good now. We've leveled it. Things are starting to mellow. You should be very happy. Now it's leveled out at 8.8% inflation, but by golly, it's leveled out. So we should all be happy and thank the Biden administration for riding in on their great Gandalf right horse and saving the day with his great magical wand. I'm sorry, but I don't think that 8.8% inflation being leveled out is a positive thing. We lowered gas prices like 80 cents over the last few weeks. Cool. You're still over $1 a gallon more than when you took office 2 years ago. So sorry if I'm not that excited, Democrats, on all the great stuff the Biden administration's done. We've created 10 million jobs. That one's just laughable because it's so ridiculously stupid. Joe Biden, you doing all right, buddy? Doing okay.
Clear. I'm not going nuts.
Just making sure. All right, when we come back, bottom of the hour, we'll shift gears a little bit. We still have the Georgia election. 2 million voters have showed up in early voting over the last week or so. What are the numbers going to look like today, and what kind of results could we see tonight? We'll speculate on that. Murray Sabrin coming on the program right around the corner as well. Lots to get to today. A busy Tuesday here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government censorship and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch The Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with The Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. Welcome to the Hooser Media Network. It's been a long time coming, and now it's growing bigger and better than we ever imagined. The Hooser Media Network is so much more than just the voice of reason. It's a network for you as a listener and you as a podcaster. It's a network for any kind of talk on any kind of topic, bringing podcasters together to give you a new way to think about the world, and it's any type of show from entertainment to educational. Check out all of our great programs, like Dr. Devin Verana with If They Knew.
Yeah, and it gives you tangible tools. I mean, I'm sure she just mentioned that some people might be mad at the government. I just can't imagine.
No.
I think there's a little bit of anger in the world these days, but I was listening to Wayne Dyer this morning, and he said, if you grab an orange and you squeeze it, what comes out? Juice. What kind of juice? Orange juice every time, right? It's not going to be apple juice. It's never going to be mango juice. It's always going to be orange juice. So whatever is in us is going to come out when we're squeezed. And so I'm sure you're learning that, like, taking yourself through this process continually just adds more and more power, more and more depth of compassion and joy and freedom and all those good feeling things, because you're clearing that space out.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Now take people, so for anybody listening out there that might have an object of anger, whether it's somebody or something or, objects out in the world these days, take us into some tactical, practical things that they can do. Number one, I'm sure, is to come see you, but what are some other things?
So I skipped that one on purpose when I was going through this, but the first book that changed my life, and I listened to it before I signed up for I listened to her 1 hour Zoom before I signed up for the class. She was interviewing a man who told us about a book called The Four Agreements. And so then when you get into the class, we study the book called Forgive for Good by Fred Luskin. And we went through a process by Michael Brown called The Presence Process. These are all 3 books. And I hate to be this honest, but let me be this honest. You can read those 3 books and know everything I'm going to teach you. But like any good class, I mean, just because I signed up for a class in college, I buy the books. You really need someone to guide you through them.
That, plus tune into Spiritual Smorgasbord with Desiree and Cheyenne.
It is, and we talked about that because then, of course, other things started to happen after that. Of course, that was not my last doctor's visit, by no means. However, we talked about it, and I thought, our ancestors were so smart. They know, whatever ails us, there's a cure for on this planet. We're just not smart enough to know how to use it, but our ancestors were. We need to get back to that. Modern medicine, basically what that is it is what you get from the plant, the healing benefit, just on steroids with side effects.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, modern medicine is considered sexy. It's fast resolving. It's instant gratification. But, and so like plant-based formula, the raw natural plant-based formula is what is going to work. It's going to be great. It just takes a while. And people want that instant gratification.
Oh, yes.
So a lot of people try
It's been marketed
something.
to them that way too.
It
They're like,
has.
oh, that's the old way. It's going to take you forever. But if you just take this, you wake up tomorrow and you can have whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
My leg is broken, but have some Oxycontin.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
Right.
dude, your leg is still severely broken. You just can't feel anything.
yeah. And it's like, so let's go to nature. Let's see.
Yeah.
You know what? There's pain relievers in nature. Marijuana is a great pain reliever.
Yes.
For one. I mean, you know, just
Mentally and physically.
yes. Well, I mean, you know, but there's other remedies out there. And everything that ails us, there's a cure for on this planet.
This whole room smells like peppermint.
We're all getting cured.
We're all
now.
getting cured right now. It's a beautiful essential oil I bought from a local, I guess you could say apothecary shelf, but I'm getting healed right now.
Yes, exactly. It is. And it's all around us. We just need to know how to look for it. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of what we were discussing. And that kind of was what started this this whole journey. And what I'm very fortunate that, you know, my spouse and I are together on this. It's not just one of us having a spiritual journey. It's
Yeah.
that we're doing this together.
Listen to those shows and so much more on our website, where you can find live streaming, links to the podcast, links to social media, more content, and so much more. It's all online at HooserMedia.com.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Reason, common sense, rationale, whatever you want to call it, it's cool. That's what we try to do on this show. Welcome back into it like we do every single day, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Multiple radio stations all over the country, plus TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch, listen to us. We love you to death, as always. Always appreciate Dick Morris coming on the program like we did at the beginning of the show to kick off the last half hour. Georgia elections underway. We'll get to some of those numbers here momentarily as well. But as we went into the bottom of the hour break, kind of a perfect segue into what we're going to be doing here. We love budgetary talks. We love financial talks. But I'm no expert by any means. I'm a college dropout on the radio ranting and raving. Let's bring in some actual experts. What do you say? Can we do that, please? Let's do that.
What's trending today?
What's trending today? I'm excited to have on the program a new guest with us here. He is the author of many books, including Tax-Free 2000, Why the Federal Reserve Sucks, the Universal Medical Care, along with being what's known as, people call him as the intellectual, with his latest book, From Immigrant to Public Intellectual, An American Story. Excited to have on the program with us here, Murray Saber. And Murray, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Andy. How are you doing?
I am living the dream. Appreciate it very much. We went into the break talking about the federal budget and the lack of a federal budget that we've seen really since the Obama administration. We no longer pass our 12 appropriations bills. We pass these continuing resolutions. We add more junk into it to do what Nancy Pelosi says, pass it to actually see what's in it. We see this budget increase ever so more. We're adding 88,000 new IRS agents across the nation. Murray, can we ever get our economy back on track and actually cut spending? Because every time we just ask for the slowing down of an increase, then we get accused of like wanting people to die in the streets and stuff. Can we actually get our budget under control?
No. The short answer is no, because I've been watching this for many, many decades. And the spending is sort of an addiction in Washington. I call it the opium of Washington, OPM, other people's money. All they want to do is spend, win votes by spending other people's money, as Ross Perot famously said in the 92 presidential election when he was the independent candidate. Let us bribe you with your own money. And that's what's happened in Washington. And we have this huge welfare state that affects everybody. Literally everybody is getting some sort of check from the government, either Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, farm subsidies, military defense spending. I mean, it just goes on and on. And so there's a vested interest in keeping this make-believe economy going based upon this $6 trillion budget that we have in Washington, which is just unprecedented where it was a few years ago.
Yeah, it is unbelievable, and we talk a lot about trying to show people the difference in the budget, where we have the mandatory spending versus the discretionary spending. The mandatory spending is really all the unconstitutional welfare state programs, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and food stamps and all this other garbage. And it sits on autopilot. It increases 4 to 5 to 6% every single year. And if we say, hey, let's only grow it by 2% this year to slow it down, then that's apparently a 4% cut. And we want people to die in the streets and not actually get any services. While the majority of the actual priorities of government, like the defense and military, goes for some reason into the discretionary spending that we have to vote on every year. And then if we don't support the increase of that budget every year, then we just don't care about our veterans and everything else too. It's a weird conversation we have about the budget every single year.
Well, this is what happens when you cement two philosophies, the welfare state philosophy with the big government overseas philosophy. And when you meld the two, you get this monstrosity called the federal budget. And what we need to do is literally go line by line and see what is constitutional and what is unconstitutional spending. And we have a guideline for it. It's Article 1, Section 8 that outlines the legitimate spending of the federal government. Unfortunately, that's been gone the wayside since the New Deal of FDR. And so government keeps on spending, whether it's authorized or not. And the American people are going to pay a heavy price, I think, because one day we're going to wake up and foreign investors are not going to buy our bonds. They're going to be selling our bonds in our currency. And that's when it's checkmate. That's when we have to really cut the budget. And that means a lot of people are going to get hurt because so many people are dependent upon federal spending for their income. I mean, there are people who could, retirees who only have income from Social Security, and Social Security was never meant to be that way. As Social Security keeps on telling us, Social Security is supposed to be only 1/3 of your retirement income. You're supposed to have your savings and some sort of pension plan, whether it's an IRA or a defined benefit plan.
Yeah.
And so we've gone way past what Social Security was supposed to be, where it's now part of most people, most retirees' sole source of income.
Yeah. Yeah, that is concerning. And me being 34, me being part of the millennial generation, I don't know that I'm even going to see some of that because I don't know how long the program can continue to sustain making it the sole income for individuals that are retiring. Are other nations doing this? And let's talk about your new book here, From Immigrant to Public Intellectual, An American Story, your story of coming here and being the intellectual and learning all of this. I mean, what are other nations doing compared to what we are doing here in the country?
Well, they have welfare states more comprehensive than ours. A lot of them have government-mandated health insurance where it's a top-down approach, single payer, like Canada has, England has. And by the way, the Scandinavian countries have had it for years, and guess what's happening there? They're going more toward private insurance, or at least private markets for health care, instead of having this top-down approach. And that's the reality of the marketplace. The government can only spend so much until the distortions are so great that people are frustrated with waiting online, waiting on the waiting list for weeks and months or years for hip replacements, knee replacements, what have you. And so people are dying around the world because they can't get a heart operation. In the United States, if you need a heart operation, you probably get it pretty quickly. A friend of mine's wife last year, she was diagnosed with colon cancer over the weekend, and she had the operation, I think, either Sunday night or Monday morning. And it just came about suddenly. So in the United States, for better or for worse, you can really get surgery when you need it if it's a life-saving event. But the cost of medical care, to give you some idea of how medical care costs in the United States have gone crazy, it's $4 trillion a year, nearly 20% of GDP. That means one of every $5 spent in the United States is devoted to medical care. And we are well above what other nations are spending, and that's because we have this hybrid system of Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, Obamacare, and as I outlined in one of my books, we don't need all these programs. We can do this through the private sector, through the nonprofit sector, and it would save us a boatload of money and get better quality care.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because we have this hybrid now, but we don't see, I take that back. I don't know if we're even in a hybrid any longer because after Obamacare, things have gone more and more centralized to where the little bit of private insurance that's out there isn't even the best quality, with deductibles going up, the premiums going up, them not even covering a lot of specialists. It seems like that's the losing end of the tug of war right now, isn't it?
Well, the problem with Obamacare is that it's like you say, it's heavily subsidized. It has high deductibles, so people are paying a lot of money and they're getting very little coverage. And the ugly truth of America is that we're overinsured. We don't need insurance to go to the doctor. to see if our sore throat is a problem. When I was growing up in the United States, in New York City in the 1950s and 60s, the parents would take you to the doctor. They'd pay $5, $7 for the office visit. You get a prescription. You get it filled at the local pharmacy for a few dollars. And there was no insurance. There was no copay. It was all out-of-pocket expenses. Yeah. And then when my father needed a major operation in 1961, he was a blue-collar worker. He had major medical coverage, and there was no angst in the family of meeting all the bills. And so that's the type of system we should go back to, because people were covered through their work, through major medical, and they paid out of pocket for ordinary medical expenses.
Wow. What happened? When did that change actually happen from that system to what we have now?
Well, it had several things happen. 1965, Medicare and Medicaid are signed into law by Johnson in July of 1965. Doctors got sucked into the system because the government paid doctors very well to treat Medicare and Medicaid patients. Then what happened over the years, as costs skyrocketed because of inflation and the great demand for medical care, because people were going to the doctors because they didn't have to pay out of pocket. Medicare would pay for it, Medicaid would pay for it. And so costs go up, inflation goes up because the Federal Reserve was printing money for the Vietnam War and the Great Society programs. And here we are nearly 60 years later, and we have this gigantic Medicare-Medicaid system that is really sucking the life out of the economy. We could do much better, and one of my goals in retirement now is to point out that there are better ways of delivering quality medical care at a fraction of the price we're paying today, with competition, with free markets, and with the nonprofits providing medical care for the indigent and low-income folks in America.
Yeah, amen to that. We're talking with Murray Sabrin, author of the book From Immigrant to Public Intellectual, An American Story, along with all the other great books that he has as well. Let's shift gears real quickly to inflation. The Biden administration says that we have leveled out inflation. Now, leveling out means that we're sitting 8.5%, 8.8%, 9% inflation across the nation, but we've leveled it out and it's constant and steady now, so we should all be happy, right?
This is incredible. I mean, it's amazing how quickly the inflation rate skyrocketed. And it was predictable, because in 2020, the Federal Reserve increased the basic money supply 25%. I think that was the greatest increase in the Fed's history. And so we know that in order to have price inflation, you've got to have money inflation. That's exactly what the Fed did to, quote, stimulate the economy during the COVID lockdowns and the massive rise in unemployment in the early part of 2020. So here we are 2 years later, and we've got this huge inflation, the highest in 4 decades, and the Fed is doing what it has done in the past to try to rein in the growth of the money supply, so prices either level off or don't increase as much as they have for the past year, which is 8% plus. So this is all predictable based upon monetary theory. You print money, you get inflation. It's not going to happen instantaneously. It happens over the course of a year or 2 or 3. And the last time we had an inflation cycle, it lasted 15, 17 years, from 1965 to 1981, 82. And we went through the painful period of 21% inflation. Mortgage rates were 18% in the early 80s. And if that should happen, you'd crash the economy. But in the meantime, people have to adjust their lifestyle to make ends meet. And that's the reality.
Murray, we got to take a hard break here. Can you stick over one more segment with us?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I love it. Hang on the line here. When we come back, I want to continue this conversation and see what the future may hold for us here in the country. Right back after this on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends, or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
When you've got something special to say, Pound Jewelry says it for you.
One of the ways your wife shows her love for you and the kids is when she tells you, honey, let's just buy for the kids this Christmas. I don't need anything. Really, I don't. You smile at her and say, do you really mean that, sweetheart? And she nods, yes, I do. I have everything I need. Hi, I'm Daniel, owner of Pal Jewelry in Newmarket Square. You know that when she says, let's just buy for the kids, she sort of means it, and she hopes you don't believe it for a second. And you don't. You just think how much you love her and how you want this year's gift to be extra special. Come see us at Pal Jewelry in Newmarket Square. What she needs most of all is to know how much you appreciate and love her. And when she slips on her new diamond pendant, earrings, or ring, she'll know in her heart that you need her and want her and couldn't do this life without her. Pal Jewelry in Newmarket Square, 21st and Mays Road.
Pound Jewelry says it with diamonds.
It's Bushels for Freedom. Friends of the NRA want you to help them protect the Second Amendment across the Mid-America region, and now you can. It's Bushels for Freedom. Donate your agricultural commodities, including bags of grain, hay, ag supplies, and more, to the Friends of the NRA and win great prizes. Donate commodities with values between $300 up to $5,000, and you could win any one of our great prizes, like an Orca 20-quart cooler, a Silver Stag knife, or even one of our firearms, including a Kel-Tec CP33, Hellcat Pro 9mm, maybe a Springfield Garrison or Henry 3030, or even a Colt Python. Woo-hoo! It's time to become a national sponsor of the Friends of the NRA with our Bushels for Freedom commodities donation. For more information, call Tyler at 316-213-0568 or go online for more information at friendsofthenra.org/sponsor. It's the Bushels for Freedom commodity donation to the Friends of the NRA.
Help protect your right to keep
No
and
one
bear
is immune
arms.
from scams, including our nation's veterans. In fact, scammers specifically target veterans, assuming they have a regular stream of income from VA benefits. Scams can involve going after pension or disability benefits, fake requests for personal information, charity scams, and so much more. The VA won't request personal information by phone, email, or text, and use sites like charitynavigator.org before donating. When it comes to fraud, vigilance is our number one weapon. For more information, go online to aarp.org/fraudwatch network.
It's time for the Todd Starn Show.
Okay, yeah, we all know what happened to Crazy Uncle Joe. He's in the White House, sir. We all know. We got some people in our family. That's not his real voice, ladies and gentlemen. That's condescension right there. He doesn't talk. He will not have that kind of tone and tenor when he's speaking to a white group of people. And that's what bothers me.
Todd Starnes, weekdays after Dan Bongino, only on Wichita's Big Talker, KQAM.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's what we do. Don't know how to do anything else. Welcome back into the show. Last few minutes of the program. Boy, oh boy, it goes by way too fast. And I am totally nerding out with this conversation because I absolutely love it as we talk economic issues, inflation, and what the heck the government's doing. As we chat with the man himself, Murray Sabrin, author of the book From Immigrant to Public Intellectual, An American Story. You can also find all his other books as well. Find him on the Tweety. Follow him at MSABRIN, M Sabrin. on the social media as well. Murray, let's talk about moving forward here and the government continuously growing with its size and with the taxes and with the spending. I know, and you talk about explaining libertarianism straightforward, which I love because we have a lot of libertarian flavor on this program, obviously, as well. Ron Paul had been talking about a long time trying to get back to the gold standard, actually getting some value behind our dollar instead of just randomly printing billions of dollars of it every day. Is that a realistic thing? Can we actually bring back the gold standard and actually bring some value back to our currency?
Yeah, there's some technical issues that have to be addressed, but essentially we just have to redefine the dollar, the weight of gold, which it was from 1789 to 1933. The dollar was defined as 1/20th of an ounce of gold. But that doesn't mean that every dollar was backed by gold in the United States, and that's why we had a lot of problems throughout the 19th century. We had banking panics periodically because banks were lending long, borrowing short, and they were bank run. There were banking panics throughout the 19th century because banks were inflating themselves. And so we have to go back to an era where the dollar is as good as gold, which means that there's gold in reserve for the dollars that are being circulated or the checking deposits that people have, and that would end the inflation, that would end the manipulation of the Federal Reserve of interest rates, which they have no business doing. They have no legal authority, as far as I'm concerned, to do that. Interest rates should be set by supply and demand, by how much people save and how much people borrow, and interest rate is a price. Price should fluctuate according to supply and demand. And if we go back to that type of economy, which we had for most of the 19th century, despite all the banking panics we had, the economy grew by leaps and bounds from 1800 to 1900, and it still has grown tremendously for the past 122 years, but we've had these periodic downturns, the Great Depression, the Great Recession, the depression of recession of 1981-82. These are business cycle phenomena that are caused by manipulation of money and credit. And so my book on navigating the boom-bust cycle talks about this and how we can work with that in terms of making sure that you don't get caught up in the euphoria of the bubble. And that's what has happened in housing recently. Prices have gone crazy in some parts of the country, especially here in Southwest Florida, where I'm living now for the past 1.5 years. And see, that's even an inflation. I've inflated how long I've been here. And so we have a financial mess in our hand. But the wonderful thing about this economy, Andy, and I've learned this over a long period of time, entrepreneurs are the greatest people in America because they're the ones, despite all the things that the government throws at them, taxes, regulation, all the monetary inflation, they still deliver the goods to the American people. And that's the beauty of the free enterprise system. And if we had more free enterprise, the economy would be booming on a sustainable basis, and that would spread the cost of living, or I should say the standard of living, to low-income folks better than what we have today with these entitlement programs.
Yeah, amen to that. We got just about a minute left here, and that was going to be my question: is how do we get out of this mess? And is that when the bust happens, when the bust happens from the government and the value of the dollar, is that what's going to pull us out of it? Is the private sector, is capitalism, is the free market enterprise system, is consumers and the private market that just continue to do their thing? Is that what's going to save us at the end of the day?
Well, absolutely. But the point is, we've got to get spending down. We have to have the Fed stop manipulating interest rates. We have to reduce regulations, get rid of unnecessary regulations, which are most of them, and that will give us a sustainable economy. Instead, we go through these periodic booms and busts. We have these bubbles, and a lot of people get caught up in them, and they go bankrupt or they have to downsize, or whatever the case may be. So the problem that we have is endemic to the welfare state that we have, the monetary socialism we have out of the Federal Reserve, and we can get rid of it by just having a national debate and pointing out that the emperor has no clothes in D.C., that we need free markets. And by the way, if people want to read my new book, they can read it for free on Amazon starting tomorrow on the Kindle edition. They can download it this Wednesday, this coming Friday, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. So people can read my story of coming to America in 1949 and becoming a college professor for 35 years and running for governor in 1997.
I love it. It's a great story, from immigrant to public intellectual, an American story. Go check it out on Amazon. Go get it on Kindle. It's Murray Saber. And Murray, I appreciate the time very much. I love the conversation. We got to get you back on again soon.
Thank you so much, Andy, and you stay warm in Kansas.
Hey, we will do it. Absolutely. You enjoy that nice, warm Florida weather. We appreciate that very much. That's Murray Saber. And that does it for us today. Podcast up in just a little bit. Until then, We're back at it tomorrow. Be our own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. Until then, this is the voice of reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts.